Hey everybody, and Tony here with a review of Bellini's Norma with conductor Richard Bonine along with the London Symphony Orchestra and Chorus, which was recorded in July 1964 at Walthamstow Town Hall. I've been wanting to review this particular recorded version of Bellini's Norma for the longest time because it starred some of opera's greatest divas, namely Dame Joan Sutherland as Norma and Marilyn Horne as Adalgisa. I am so excited to talk about their performances, so let's start right now, starting off with Dame Joan Sutherland as Norma. And she is, without a doubt, one of my most favorite interpreters of this role, next to Callas and of course Beverly Sills and Cristina Dortecom. What I really love about Dame Joan Sutherland's Norma is that she has a pure tone, and she sounds like a seraphim every time she sings all of Norma's music, whether it be Casta Diva in the original key or even the duets she has with Marilyn Horne's Adalgisa and John Alexander's Bellini. She definitely sounded like a most beautiful seraphim. Her musicianship, as to be expected, was absolutely of the highest order, and she was flawless all the way through. There was not one moment where I thought that she had a little bit of trouble, because she managed to persevere extremely well and with flying colors. She also managed to be quite gripping in this role, especially before she called her maid Clotilde to come over and ask who was at the door. I could also hear Dame Joan Sutherland giving out some plaintive weeping before she does that deed, which also shows that she was absolutely dedicated as an overall performer. And I definitely love those high notes that she was also able to sing, whether it be the high D in the finale of the trio between Norma, Adalgisa, and Bellini, or even my most favorite, the high E flat after I mi aman al fin tu sei. I thought she managed to sing those high notes extremely well, and of course with such great abandon. She managed to leave me on the edge of my seat every time she hits those notes, and every time she managed to make me feel for her Norma. So with that said, I not only enjoyed Dame Joan Sutherland's rendition of this iconic Bellini heroine, but I loved everything about her. What she managed to do with this role, and of course, those great moments of peerless musicianship which made Dame Joan Sutherland so well known. Equally as outstanding was Marilyn Horne as Adalgisa, and I first heard about her ever since I was 10 years old, and I immediately fell in love with her. I loved the repertoire she specialized in, most notably the coloratura mezzo roles in the Bel Canto repertoire, and of course some of her attempts to sing the more dramatic mezzo roles. She definitely had a lot of success with both repertoires, whether it be the florid coloratura mezzo or contralto singing of Rosina from Barbieri di Siviglia, Cenerentola from, of course, Cenerentola, and Isabella from L'Italiana and Algeri, and even the dramatic singing found in Cassandre from Berlioz' Le Troyon, Bizet's Carmen, Eboli, Amneris, Azucena, and many other great roles for either a dramatic mezzo or at times dramatic soprano. There was no doubt that Marilyn Horne was a singer I have admired for the longest time. I should know because I also have one CD of her when she sang Adalgisa to Joan Sutherland's Norma and Carlo Bergonzi's Bellini, and even a CD of her Carmen with Leonard Bernstein as the conductor, and I do hope to review the latter in the near future. But going to her Adalgisa in this particular recording, what more can I expect from her? She was definitely outstanding. She managed to sing her music so well with such a pristine and pure technique, and of course, lots of great vocal strength. I also loved it when she was able to hit the high C when she sang the O Rimembranza duet, and even before she sang the Mira o Norma, which in turn was in the original key, and she managed to win me over in one of her most iconic roles of all time. She also showed a great amount of pathos in this role that I was also involved in everything she had to do. But more than anything, she managed to be at her strongest when she sang not only the high notes, but also the parts where she was able to go all crescendo, especially in her duet with John Alexander's Poglione. She was able to do a magnificent job as Adalgisa that I was in total awe of everything she had to accomplish. And let's not forget that Joan Sutherland and Marilyn Horne were extremely well known as stage partners, as they not only sang the likes of Norma and Adalgisa respectively, but together they also sang Semiramide and Arsace. And with these two pairs of roles, they were able to make not only a great amount of music, but they've also gained a lot in stature when they left such an amazing legacy as Norma and Adalgisa, roles that they have performed not only in the Metropolitan Opera House, but also in a lot of the opera houses of the world. And I definitely loved their vocal chemistry. They were able to sound like two seraphims opening the gates of heaven with their great songs, and they managed to leave me breathless with everything they had to accomplish as great Bel Canto specialists. Whether it be Joan Sutherland's clear, clean, and absolutely pristine dramatic coloratura soprano voice, or Marilyn Horne's rounder, richer, and earthier dramatic mezzo voice, which in turn can reach the heights of a true dramatic soprano, which should also come off as no surprise that Madame Horne started off as a soprano before transitioning into the mezzo repertoire. These two managed to leave such an amazing mark with their iconic roles. And for that, I salute both Dame Joan Sutherland and Marilyn Horne for their exceptional and outstanding musicianship as Norma and Adalgisa. So there was no doubt that Dame Joan Sutherland and Marilyn Horne stole the show as these two iconic heroines, but what about the other singers featured in this particular recorded version of Bellini's Norma? Well, they were all exceptional as well. We also have the full lyric tenor, who also specialized in some spinto tenor roles, John Alexander, singing such a fine and absolutely virile Poglione. Yes, he may not have that Italianità in terms of fire and passion when he sang Poglione, even though he did sing a great deal of roles from different repertoires and from different languages and even from different genres. But I still have to give him a load of kudos for everything he managed to accomplish with Poglione. His tone was precise, clean, clear, and pristine, and of course, his musicianship was of the highest order. As a singer, he managed to do an amazing job as Poglione, and I really loved the focus he managed to give with his grand aria Meco altare di Venere, in which he was able to pace himself so well, and I also loved how homogeneous his voice was. Whether it be in the lower register, the middle register, or even the high notes, he managed to show a oneness and focus in everything he did, and for that, I give him so much praise for what he had to accomplish as Poglione. His versatility, style, and grace were also in great evidence, especially when he was face to face with Joan Sutherland's Norma. Their voices managed to complement each other so well, and I was amazed at not only their professionalism, but of course, their great artistry. So I really have to give it to John Alexander, who gave such an exceptional reading of this fine Bellini anti-hero. And for someone as underrated as John Alexander, I definitely have to say that this tenor needs to be more well known, considering the legacy he left with not only his great versatility, but also his absolutely peerless musicianship. Richard Cross was a virile and absolutely dashing oroveso. And this was an underrated basso cantante slash bass baritone that I had the pleasure of listening to, because not a lot of people even know about him, even though he had such an exciting career, not only in the American opera houses, but also in the European opera houses in Germany. He definitely left a great mark in this role, as he was able to sing everything with such pristine precision that I was completely astounded. He did such a phenomenal job making this role not only paternal, but also strong in terms of characterization. There was also such phenomenal singing to be found in Joseph Ward's cleanly toned and focused Flavio, and of course, Yvonne Minton's luxurious, gorgeous, and absolutely lovely Clotilde. The conducting done by Richard Bonine was fine all the way through, though I would have loved to have a little bit more pizzazz and a little bit more excitement in some movements, and those have to be the overture and the war chorus. I would expect a little bit more oomph, fire, passion, excitement, and a lot of thrills to be found, but here it was a little bit more sedated and a little bit calmer. And in terms of the war chorus, it sounded more like a royal procession to the queen, more than an actual warriors chorus where everyone seems to have a go at it. But still, he led the London Symphony Orchestra and Chorus very well, and as to be expected from the London Symphony Orchestra and Chorus, they were absolutely amazing. So overall, with Joan Sutherland and Marilyn Horne standing tall in this particular recorded version of Bellini's Norma, and backed up by such equally great singing found in John Alexander, Richard Cross, Yvonne Minton, and Joseph Ward, and of course such fine conducting done by Richard Bonine, then I have to say that this particular album version of Bellini's Norma is an absolute must listen. And I'm sure this will be a great addition to anyone's collection of either Joan Sutherland's albums or Marilyn Horne's albums. And with that said, I give this particular album version of Bellini's Norma a well-deserved rating of 5 out of 5 stars. The singing was absolutely amazing, not only from Joan Sutherland and Marilyn Horne, but also from John Alexander, Richard Cross, Joseph Ward, and Yvonne Minton. And even though the conducting done by Richard Bonine was a bit slow at times, I still have to give him credit for leading the London Symphony Orchestra and Chorus so well. And the reason why I gave this such a perfect rating was because despite the fact that Richard Bonine kind of tended to be a little bit slow in some occasions in terms of his conducting, I still have to give it to the flawless singing accomplished by Joan Sutherland, Marilyn Horne, John Alexander, Richard Cross, Joseph Ward, and Yvonne Minton for making this such an absolute must listen. And for those of you who listened to this particular album version of Bellini's Norma, what did you think of it? Did you feel like Joan Sutherland and Marilyn Horne stole the show as Norma and Adalgisa respectively? Was there another singer who stole their thunder, whether it be John Alexander as Pollione, Richard Cross as Oroveso, Joseph Ward as Flavio, or Yvonne Minton as Clotilde? Or was there someone who stuck out like a sore thumb? Or were you not a fan of Richard Bonine in terms of his conducting? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in much later where I review the Ballet Onegin at the Norske Opera og Ballet. So until then, have a great day, everybody.